the University of Silesia in Katowice, the Institute of Literary Studies. I wanted to thank Dominic Lutens for inviting me to be part of this group, of this discussion panel. I'm passionate about animals. I think I've loved animals all my life. More recently, I started picking them up from the streets and giving them a home. Currently, I have 5 animals at home, 2 dogs and 3 cats. And my private interest also translates into my professional academic research. So today I'm going to talk to you about human-animal relations from a decolonial perspective. And what I say today is based on my most recent research that has culminated in the publication of a book. That's the book, Decolonial Animal Ethics in Linda Hogan's Poetry and Prose Towards Interspecies Thriving. The book was published in 2023, so it's very recent. Linda Hogan is a member of the Chickasaw tribe in the United States. In her prose and poetry, I was trying to trace the indigenous peoples' specific relationship to animals and how we in the Western world can adopt some of those lessons from, broadly speaking, indigenous pre-modern peoples and their ontologies, their cosmologies, their worldviews, because they are different from a traditional Western scientific rational perspective. So what are the lessons that we can adopt, and I think we must adopt, in the time of the Anthropocene, the time when the 6th great extinction of species is happening, how to work toward sustainability. I think the indigenous people have a lot to teach us, which is, for instance, supported by the growing popularity of traditional ecological knowledges in Western universities. So the major differences, and I'm going to draw very crude comparisons based on overgeneralizations. So the major differences would be that Western science is based predominantly on facts, figures, theoretical observations, which are then checked in practice through experimentation. The experiments are usually conducted in controlled environments. Traditional ecological knowledges, on the other hand, are based on practical observation of the environment, which has been going on for millennia. And this practical component of a traditional ecological knowledge also has an ethical side. Science knowledge has to be moral, has to be ethical. And this is a lesson that I think we need to learn more from indigenous peoples. In the Western world, we usually think of the animals or non-human, our non-human others, as inferior to humans. This worldview is deeply grounded in theology, in Christianity, especially the book of Genesis, where creation is seen as culminating with human beings. And humans are then given dominion over the world. This dominion has been all too frequently abused, used disrespectfully towards the non-human others. We all too often assign instrumental value to animals. In indigenous perspectives, on the other hand, there is no hierarchical relationship between humans and non-humans. Um, in fact, the difference between humans and non-humans is frequently non-existent. Animals or non-human persons, because they have the status of persons. Um, so humans and non-human persons are seen as parts of an extensive and extended network of kinship. Animals and humans are related by ties of kinship. What is more, animals have the status of elder brothers and sisters. They are often perceived as the co-creators of the world. At the beginning of time, the indigenous people would say that before the world became solid, um, humans and animals did not differ from one another. The boundary between humanity and animality didn't exist. Animals and humans constantly transformed into one another. Um, and it is believed that the first persons on the world were animals who then helped humans emerge, who co-created humans. When humans were weak and vulnerable, the animals took pity on humans and offered to give their flesh for food to humans in return for respect and certain ceremonies that humans were asked to enact um, in return for the gift of food. Um, so we have a horizontal relationship. There is no hierarchy. And the fact that humans and animals would negotiate treaties means that treaties are negotiated on a nation-to-nation basis. There is respect, mutual respect between those who negotiate treaties, and both sides are expected to honor the treaties. Those indigenous people who still live in the traditional way still embrace protocols of respect and honor the animal ancestors, even if they have to hunt for food. They give thanks for the animals who willingly, as they believe, give themselves, offer themselves as food for humans. Transgressing against those protocols can have very real consequences because the retaliated party, the animals, can take offense and withdraw their presence, causing starvation among humans. So sustainability depends on respect on both sides. And of course, the contemporary Western science frequently endorses those ancient beliefs and ancient attitudes towards animals, like transspecies psychology, a branch of psychology co-founded by Gay Bradshaw, finds amazing similarities between our brains and the brains of animals. The thought processes, whatever happens in our brains, is very frequently so closely related to the thought processes that you can find in animal brains. I'm not a psychologist, so I'm not going to push that further. Just wanted to say that we do need to listen more closely to indigenous peoples and their knowledge about the non-human world, because there is a richness of wisdom to take and adopt in our attitude, the human attitude to the non-human world, if we think seriously about sustainability and interspecies thriving. Thank you very much for your attention.